Hello everyone, welcome to Thyros Web Development Tips and Tutorials. Today we will be building the simple quiz app using Vue 3 and Tailwind CSS. So the moment you open this, you have a simple quiz with one single question which you select an answer. Let's say you get it wrong, it shows you that your answer is wrong, it shows you the right answer. You click on next, you get the next question, and if you got the answer right, your answer is shown right. Click on the next, and then once the quiz is done, you get to finish it. You will see how many correct answers you got, how many wrong answers you got. You get an option to play again. So let's get started building this. Tailwind CSS is optional for this, so if you're not using Tailwind, you can skip through these steps. But I want to install Tailwind and I don't want to do that manually right now. So what I'll do is I will clone this repository Tailwind CSS starter kit, which installs Tailwind as a post CSS plugin. You can find that link below in the description. So let me copy this, open terminal, and I will cd into desktop for now. Let me say git clone, paste that link that I copied, and simple quiz is the name I give to the new project. It's cloning and we have it. So cd simple quiz, and then let me open this in Visual Studio Code. So here it is. I have the package.json file. So let me open up the terminal here and say npm install so that all the dependencies gets installed. As you can see, we have Tailwind CSS, Post CSS, Auto Prefixer, and npm watch for development. So we might have to refresh once, reload window to see the node modules folder, and we have all of these installed. Next, I have this public folder which has the index.html. This is what we will be using. And within the distribution folder is the styles.css that's linked. And the source folder styles.css is where we might add additional styles if required. Of course, we have the tailwind.config.js in case we need to do some customization. But like I said, if you're not using Tailwind, you can skip through all of these steps and start from here. Now, I also need to do npm run build once so that this styles.css gets populated. The Tailwind will build up the styles and put it up there. So npm run build, I have the build script if you want to take a look here. So this is what it will do. Yeah, once this is done, let me open this up in live server. I have the live server extension. So if you see this beautiful gradient, Tailwind is installed, right? So if you're not using Tailwind, this is where you start. Remove all of this, and then you can link your own style sheet here. And now to start with Vue 3, let me go into Vue documentation and then go to get started, go to installation, import it as a CDN package is what I want to do currently. So copy this, let's paste it here within the head section, but instead of next, let me put an exact version of 3.0.2 because I don't know at which point you will be watching this video. So you will get the exact same output as I. And now let's first make that quiz appearance, for which I'll add some classes. You can give your own appearance. I just want to give a light gray text, and then since we want everything centered on the page, I will say width full and height screen and flex, then say justify center, items center. This will center up everything. Now comes our wrapper div, just so that we limit the width. So div class max W full and max width LG or XL. You can actually give the exact width also. And within this comes our heading that says simple quiz, which has a font bold, text 5XL, and then text center, and the color is indigo, so text indigo 700. Let me also change the title to simple quiz. Let's see. Yes, that's what we need. And now comes that div which holds all the questions. So div class bg white and padding, overall padding of about say 12, then rounded LG shadow LG, W full, and a margin top because we need to space out the heading, maybe empty 8. Yes. What does this give us? Yes, that's what we need. And within this comes our questions. So we will populate the questions from Vue, but before that, let's just have hard-coded questions first. So this would again be a P class text 2XL, font bold, and here comes our question. Right? And then for the 4 options, what we can do is we can use labels. I mean, we can wrap the labels around input radio. So label, and then so the name is not needed here. We might need the ID. Let's do that later. But the class here is hidden, so we don't see the input radio button, but we style the label instead for it. So we can give the label class block first, display block, and then margin top of 4, then a border, a light border, so that's border gray 300, and then rounded LG, padding top and bottom py2, and then horizontal padding py6, then text LG. So this should do it, and the option goes here. So let's say option 1. That's exactly what we want. So the same thing will go 3 more times. Option 2, 3, and 4. We're just hard coding it right now, but we'll make all of this appear using Vue. Option 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, that's what we want. Now that we have our basic appearance set up, let's start with Vue. So here, let's add a script file, scripts.js, and let's create it. Here, the first thing we do is create the Vue object. So const app, you can call it anything again. I would call it app because that's generally the convention. Vue dot create app, and then here let's give this whole thing an ID, which is app, so that we can mount our Vue app on it. So you can say app.mount app, ID app, right? So this is a major change in Vue 3. This is how we do it. And now within the Vue object, we have our data. And here comes our questions. So return. And now questions needs to be an array. You can have as many questions as you want. For the demonstration, I will have 3 questions which will be within an array. So question 1, question 2, and question 3. This is how it will be. So within that, the first thing we need is a question itself. So I'll just paste this. And then comes answers, which is again another object with options here. You can have as many options as required. And then comes another key, which is correct answer. So whichever is the correct answer, we have that key here. In this case, it's option B. So this is our first question. I will just add two more questions here quickly. So our third question has only two options, which is okay. And now to begin with, we need our first question to appear here. All right, so how do we do that? Since questions is an object, since questions is an array, we can just say questions 0, the first item, and then within that we want the question. So let's see if this works. Great. So we have the first question here. Let's also populate the options, but not 4 times like this. Instead, we can use the v for directive here. So let me remove all those 3, and right here, let me say v for answer in the same thing. The first question, question 0, answers. And let's see if this appears 4 times. It does appear 4 times. And now instead of option 1, we just need to say answer. Okay, bags, watches, shoes, and laptops. But we also need the key, right? We need this key here to find out whether the option selected is correct or not. Sorry, here this is D. So for that, what we do is instead of just saying answer in questions, let me also say answer comma key, which also fetches the key. And then this ID could be, this is short for we bind. We are binding the variable, but we can just use colon ID and then we get the key here. Okay, let's inspect element and see if this works. So as you can see, the ID is A here, the ID will be B here, and so on. That works great. And now we also need a value for this. So the value here, again, we need to bind it with the variable, and that will be key again. The reason we need this ID is it needs to come here. So label for key, again, once again, we use short for vbind. So whenever you click on this label, this input gets checked. Now when this option is selected, let's add a method so that we know that this is the option that's selected. We can just console.log and check. So let's add on change. This is again short for add change. This is short for v on change. And let's just say answered and pass the event. And here let's add methods like so. Answered, and this takes the event object. So let's just console.log e. Let me open the console, and when I click on bags, yes, we get the event. And you see that the target here, which is what we want, the value of that target. So what we can do is console.log event.target.value. So we get the option that's selected. So you see, C is selected, D is selected, A is selected. Now here, we want the user to be able to select only once, right? How do we restrict that? What we could do is we can have another variable here which says selected answer, and initially that's blank. Sorry, this doesn't come here, this comes here. Selected answer, which is blank, and then we can assign the selected answer to e.target.value. The way we do that is say selected answer, this dot selected answer, that's how you access the variable. This dot selected answer is e.target.value. If you want, you can console.log and check that this is what it does. And once the selected answer has a value, we can disable the input. So here we can add the disabled attribute and then bind it to verify. So if the selected answer is blank, then this should not be disabled. So this should be true. It should be disabled when the selected answer is not blank, right? So selected answer is not equal to blank, then you can disable it. So let's see if this works. I say bags, yes, A, and then see when I click on anything else, this is disabled already. You can inspect element and check that now the radio button has been disabled. If you want, you can refresh and check that the radio button is now not disabled. Once I click on any option, it gets disabled. So this works, but right now it's not visual, right? So the cursor is not pointed, and on hover there is no animation, there's no feedback. So let's add that first. So let's add a hover class when the input is not disabled. So the way we do that is class hover. So I'm using hover because this is Tailwind, but if you're not using Tailwind, you can use your own class. So on hover, I want the background to be, I think, gray 100 and cursor pointer. And I want this to happen only if the input is not disabled, which means that the selected answer is equals blank. So only when there is no answer selected, then the input is not disabled, it works, and that's why I want the cursor pointer. Now again, let's see. Yes, so this works. Right now there is no selected answer, but the moment I click on something, the answer is already selected. So now next, let's work on showing whether the answer selected is correct or wrong. So now, if the selected answer is correct, we need the background color to change to slightly green. So maybe BG green 200. Now this should happen only if this key or the selected answer, now if this key here is equal to the correct answer. So key equals, now we need this questions of 0, correct answer. And also we want that to show up only after an answer is selected and not before, right? So otherwise, if you just open it, it'll already show the correct answer. This is not what we want. So we want this BG green to appear only if this is the correct answer and selected answer is still blank. Sorry, selected answer is not equal to blank. Yes, so now you click on this and we see that this is the correct answer. But also the one that we just clicked on should show that that's the wrong answer if that's not correct. And again, the way we do that is add a background red, maybe 200, if the selected answer is the key. or the key is the selected answer. But now this should come before green so that it applies the red color, and then in case the answer is right, it also applies the green color. Now let's see how this works. So I click on shoes and that's wrong. So watches is selected, but if we reload and in case I select the correct answer and then we see green, let's inspect element and see. So you will notice that actually the red class is applied and then the green class is applied, but this is overriding this. Alright, that's why it was important to add this line first and then this so that the correct answer overrides it. So by default, the moment you click on a label, that gets a class of BG red 200, but if it's the right answer, it gets overridden by this, or the right answer anyway gets this background color. So this much works. Now we need to get that next button option the moment an answer is selected so that we can move on to the next option. So let's add a div here with a margin top of maybe 6 and then add the button class float right because I want it to the right, and because I'm adding float right here, let me add flow root so that the problem we face with float right, it acts like a clear fix. And then all the other styles, let me say next BG indigo 600, maybe text white, text SM, and then font bold, tracking white, and rounded full. Okay, we need a little padding also, so px 5 and then py 2. Okay, this appears, but now we don't want this to appear when no option is selected. We want this to appear only when the user has already selected an option. So let's add a vShow directive. So show this only if selected answer is not blank. That means an answer is already selected. That way, we don't see the next option. The moment we select something, we see the next option. Great. Now also, once we click on the next option, we want the next question to appear. For that, what we need to do is, first we hard-coded this 0 here because we just wanted the first question to appear. But the right way to do that is use a variable here and increment it. So ideally, we should use something like index. So let's have an index here, which is initially 0 because we start with the first question. And here, we could change this to index. Of course, change it wherever else you've used 0. And here we have changed this to index. Nothing changes here, it works as it is. Only thing is when you click on next, add 1 to that index so that it moves to the next question. So what we do is click on click, say index plus plus. Now if I select an option, great. When I say next, so here we see a problem. The selected answer needs to get reset when we move on to the next question. That's why instead of directly doing index plus plus here, let's add a method which says next question. And here, next question, we not only do index plus plus, we also say, alright, of course, this dot index plus plus and this dot selected answer equals blank again. So now when you go to the next question, nothing is selected, and only when you select it, you can move on to the next question and select whatever. But then when you click on, when you come to the last question, we don't want it to say next. We want it to say finish so that we could see the result. So what we do is we add another button, which is finish, and on click it doesn't go to next question. On click it says show results, and this appears only, so we show not selected answer is this. Of course this and index should be the last one, so index should be equal to the count of the number of questions. So we could just also add a count here which says 3 because we have 3 questions. So does this work? I select something else, and no, we see next again, and index less than count, maybe count minus 1, and this should be equals count minus 1. This should work. So we see false, yes. So we see the finish, but on click nothing else happens yet. So now, so we can add another div here and show this only if we haven't reached the end. So this says v if index is less than count and div v else. So it shows the results here. And watches 2003, next, finish. So when you click on finish, that should appear. So when you click on show results, increment the index so that we will see. Yes, so once you finish, we have completed all the answers, so we can see the results board. All right, so now one thing pending is we are not yet tracking whether the answer selected was correct or wrong. For that, we need two variables, which is correct answers. So how many answers we got correct? Initially that's 0. And wrong answers, how many we got wrong? Again, that's also 0. And every time we check this, right, on change, we need to add one either to the correct answer or to the wrong answer. And so here what we do is, of course, remove the console.log. We need to check if the selected answer is equal to the correct answer. And how do you do that? So if this dot selected answer equals, now we need to get this correct answer from the index, right? So we don't know which question it is. The way to know that is get the correct answer from that particular question of the index. So here this dot questions of index correct answer. So again this dot index and this dot correct answer. So if the selected answer is correct, then say correct answer plus plus, else wrong answer plus plus. Now what we will do is let's console.log both so that we know it's working. Okay, I'm sorry, semicolon is a practice, you don't have to do it. And now let's see how this works. Let me open up the console. I click on watches. Wrong answer is not defined. Sorry, this needs to be this dot, this dot, this dot, and this dot. This should work now. Watches, we got the answer wrong, is it? Now that is not right. So let's try to console.log this and find out if it's working. So when you click on bags, it says undefined. Okay, now that's because, so this is not, this dot is wrong here. You need to say correct answer because this dot will look into the variables inside here. So that would not be correct. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so that works. It shows you the correct answer now, and we can change this back to, I clicked on bags, so correct answer is 0 and wrong answer is 1. When I go to next, correct answer is 1, wrong answer is 1. Next, false, correct answer is 2 and wrong answer 1. So when I click on finish, I just want to see both the results here. Let's do that now. It's very simple. Let me remove the console.log here, and now let me style this results part a bit. So maybe h2, this could be a text bold, text 2xl, or text 3xl, and then we have the div class flex, so that we show both the answers. Justify start, I want to add some space x4, and then a margin top empty 6, and here correct answers, span, within the span I want the correct answer to be in green, so, and a little big, so text 2xl, text green 700, and then font bold. Copy the same thing, wrong answers, I just want this to be in red, and here within the span comes the correct answers. This should be answers, but anyway, let's not change that now. Correct answer, and then here comes the wrong answer. So that's the count actually. So you could also say correct score, wrong score. That is more readable actually. Now let's see. I got one wrong, one right, and then another one right. Yes, so we have correct answers 2, wrong answers 1. One last thing pending is once you complete the quiz, you should get an option to play again. Let's add that button here right after this. So copy the same thing here. You could obviously extract classes, use the apply directive in Tailwind for the button so that you don't repeat these button styles. For now, I'm not doing that. So instead of next, let's say play again. And here on click, what happens is you just set index to 0, or let me add that in our method. So I'll say reset quiz, and here reset quiz, we need to say this dot index equals 0, one thing, and then this dot selected answer equals blank, and also the score, we need to reset the score, right? So correct answer 0 and wrong answer 0. Is that all we need to do? Yes, that's probably it. And also show this only when, no, this anyway gets shown only at the end. All right, so we don't need the v show here. Now, this is the final one. Let's see how this works. I select the right answer, go next. I select the wrong answer, next. Select another wrong answer, finish. Correct answer is 1, wrong answer is 2. I say play again, and great, I'm able to play it once again. All right, that's how it is. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Try something new. You can extend this, you can play around with this as much as you like. Just note that I am a beginner in Vue. I really just spent about 4 to 5 hours learning Vue, but because of my previous JavaScript experience, I was able to build something like this very much at the beginning. I still haven't explored components, I still haven't used Vue CLI. This is just Vue 3 from the CDN. So if you know all that, you can explore and do a lot more. You can find this code on GitHub in the description below. There is a link. Watch out for more videos on Vue in the coming weeks. Thank you for watching. Hit a like and share this video ahead. If you enjoyed watching this, don't forget to subscribe below and turn on the notifications so you won't miss a single video from Tyrus.